Very special Sunday, and I just want to say, when I came in this morning, Tricia greeted me and said, "It's good to see your face." And I thought that was a great greeting. You know, those of us that are able to gather this morning, especially with the special service for Jared and Cana and their family, it's good to see your face, and even those who are online, it's good to see your face. And I did want to just take a moment to welcome some special faces. Couple of folks that came from all the way from Kuala Lumpur. Friends of ours, Jenny and Alex Seat, welcome, and Eunice as well. They're all the way from Malaysia, but their real claim to fame is they have 3 amazing grandchildren. Ambrose and Lucy and Willow, just amazing kids if you ever met them. Oh, did I tell you they happen to be Martha and my grandchildren too? So anyway, special welcome to them, and nice to see them on their way through. Well, we are going to continue in our encounter series this morning, and I want to tell you about a lady who had a miracle in her life that was unlike anything in human history, literally. You think about it, throughout the scriptures, throughout human history, countless people have experienced the intervention of God in their lives in miracles. But nobody like this lady. She had a completely unique miracle in her life, unlike anybody else. Who am I speaking of? Mary of Nazareth. Mary, the mother of Jesus. She gave birth to a baby without a human father. She's the only one in all of human history that had a virgin birth. A miracle unlike any others. And she gave birth to this very special baby. We're going to celebrate it in a few weeks. We call Christmas. But you know what happened? The angel Gabriel came and said, "You're going to have a very special baby. In fact, this child that God is giving you is going to be the Messiah. He's going to be the descendant of David. He's going to rule over God's people forever." Wow. But not only that, he's going to be the Son of God, because Mary, the Holy Spirit of God, is going to do a miracle in your body so that the child you give birth to is going to be the Son of God. Fully God, fully man. Now think, if you're a moment, if you're Mary, you're this teenage girl who's going to give birth to this miraculous child. You're going to raise that child with certain expectations, I think. I mean, this is not, every mom says, "I got great expectations for my kid." But this child, the Messiah, the Son of God, Mary surely would have had some expectations raising him. What happens when those expectations encountered Jesus at a wedding in Cana? We're going to read this morning in our encounter series, and I hope you've been encouraged by this series. I'm blessed every week just to study people in the New Testament who meet Jesus. They encounter Jesus, and something wonderful always happens. There's always something beautiful that happens. What happens when Mary, and it's just not Mary, in this case it's a group of people. It's the disciples, it's the servants, it's a whole group of people at a wedding celebration. They encounter Jesus, and something beautiful happens. What is it that happens? Well, let's read together, and it'll come up on your notes, or again, encourage you to get the church app. It'll come up on your phone or your device. But John chapter 2 tells us what happens when Mary and others encounter Jesus at the wedding in Cana of Galilee. On the 3rd day, a wedding took place at Cana in Galilee. Jesus' mother was there. That's Mary. Obviously a family friend. We don't know all the details, but she was invited to the wedding, a family friend. And Jesus and his disciples had also been invited to the wedding. Not everybody gets invited to the wedding celebration, just the close friends, family members. Jesus is there. And Jesus' mother was there. When the wine was gone, what? The wine was gone. They ran out of wine. This is a social disaster. In a culture of hospitality, where you showed your love and your appreciation and welcomed people with hospitality, and they ran out of wine. I mean, this is not just any meal. How embarrassing if you have your friends over and you run out of food. No, this is a wedding celebration. This is something you'll remember for life, and they run out of wine. It's a disaster. It's a social disaster. Look what happens. When the wine was gone, Jesus' mother, Mary, says to Jesus, "They have no more wine." There's something going on here where Mary knows Jesus can do something about this. And so she goes to her son with these expectations. And what does Jesus do? Woman, why do you involve me? Now, let me just say that when you read that, you might think, well, that's kind of a disrespectful way to talk to your wife. And none of us would say to our moms, woman. But this is just a cultural thing, right? You read later when Jesus is dying on the cross, he looks down on John, the apostle, and his mom at the foot of the cross, and he says, woman, behold your son, son, behold your mother. And he calls her woman. It's a tender, affectionate thing. It's not disrespectful at all. I would translate it. I'm not a translator, but something like this. Mom, I love you, but you got your timing wrong. Mom, you don't understand my timing. But there's nothing disrespectful here in Jesus' response to his mother. He says, why do you involve me? Jesus replied, my hour has not come. Jesus is saying, you're coming to me, Mom, with these expectations, but I have a very precise timetable for my messianic ministry, and it's ultimately leading to the cross, and it's not the right time, Mom. That's what he's saying. It's not my time. But this is a fascinating interaction. Mary, the mother of Jesus, I think, and I hope I'm not reading into this, I think she's got this woman's intuition, and I think she's got faith. She doesn't have control. She's not trying to be controlling of her son, which moms can do, right? So what does she do? She comes with this expectation to Jesus. Jesus says, it's not my time. His mother said to the servants, do whatever he tells you. Just get ready, because I have a feeling Jesus is going to do something special. I don't know what, and I can't control him, but he says to the servants, get ready for something beautiful, and just do what he tells you. So what happens? What does Jesus do after telling Mary it's not his time? It's not his time for doing public miracles yet, for demonstrating his identity. He says this, the text says this, nearby stood 6 stone water jars, the kind used by the Jews for ceremonial washing, each holding from 20 to 30 gallons, a lot of water, 6 of them. Jesus said to the servants, fill the jars with water. So they filled them to the brim. Then he told them, now draw some out and take it to the master of the banquet. They did so, and the master of the banquet tasted the water, what? That had been turned into wine. Jesus did a miracle, and he transformed the molecular structure of water and created wine. But catch this, it wasn't just the same wine, it was a Mobetta wine. It was a Mobetta wine. They said, they did so. The master of the banquet tasted the water that had been turned into wine. He did not realize where it come from, though the servants who had drawn the water knew. They filled up with water. They took it to the master. They knew. Then he called the bridegroom aside and said, everyone brings out the choice wine first, and then the cheaper wine. Once people are a little bit tipsy, they don't notice the cheaper wine at the end. After the guests had had too much to drink, but you have saved the best wine till now. What Jesus did here in Cana in Galilee was the first of the signs. John records 7 signs that Jesus did, miraculous signs that reveal his identity, that reveal his ministry, and this was the first of them, through which he what? He revealed his glory. He revealed his glory, and his disciples believed in him. That's the biblical account. We have been enjoying a filmmaker's version. Take a look at this and appreciate the filmmaker's version of what happened with this amazing encounter.
Knock, knock. Can we come in? Hi, Ima. Oh, how are you? I missed you.
I have missed you. Look at you. It's been a while. Have you been eating?
I have been eating. These people have been helping me to eat. So
Hi. How are you? Are you students?
I'm James.
Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who brings forth the fruit of the vine.
Amen. Amen.
Lighten your pores, like this. 3/4 full. If they ask you for more, tell them you'll be right back. But guess what? You won't be. Understand?
Purification water. There's still some left in these.
Dilute the wine. People will notice. Whispers will spread.
If they did, I feel like this family would die of shame.
What about us? We'd be ruined.
It's not a great option, I agree. So help me think.
We could serve the guests extra date cakes, oversalt the food, make them thirst for water. I don't know. This is humiliating.
Let's keep looking.
They have no idea who sits before them.
And now, friends, the dance of Miriam.
Thomas? Talk to me.
Just watch out for the frogs this time. Oh, sons of Jonah!
We were just looking for you. Dancing to the song of Miriam, and we thought you wouldn't want to miss it.
Of course. Let's the three of us show them how it's done, huh?
I don't think that's such a good idea.
My son,
Ah, Andrew, you see, even my own mother will join us in the Song of Miriam.
they've run out of wine.
But it's only the first day.
Yes, and it's all gone. Not a drop left.
Why are you telling me this?
We can't let the celebration end like this. And the Etcher's family humiliated.
Boys, go join the others. I'll be right there. Mother, my time has not yet come.
If not now, when? Please.
Do whatever he tells you.
Fill these jars with water.
I'm not sure you heard her clearly, but we've run out of wine, not water.
These are similar in size to your amphorae.
The prudent marks, yes. Equally filled all the way to the brim.
You're a very responsible person, aren't you?
We are in a crisis, and I was led to understand you have a solution.
Do you know why jars for purification rites are made of stone?
What?
You heard me.
Because the stone is pure. Less likely to stain or break, that can't be made unclean.
Yes. Fill these jars with water all the way to the brim.
Why?
You heard him. Start drawing water, quickly. Tell anyone you find to stop what they're doing and help.
From the directions you have provided, I see no logical solution to the problem.
It's going to be like that sometimes, Thomas.
What did you say?
I do not rebuke you. It is good to ask questions, to seek understanding.
There's not time for this.
I know of a man like you in Capernaum, always counting, always measuring.
That's my job. And that people will think I have not done well tonight.
Join me, and I will show you a new way to count and measure, a different way of seeing time.
Go with you where? I don't understand.
Keep watching.
Cana!
Abner, I do hope you're enjoying yourself.
Where are the servers?
I don't know, but I'll go find them right away.
It is far past time for another round of wine. The last one was nearly an hour ago.
Yes, well, you see...
Surely there is more coming, Dinah.
I'm very sorry. Please do not worry. This will be taken care of immediately.
Next round of wine right away. Thank you for reminding us it's all under control.
If the smith wants to change the horseshoe or the plowshare or the pothook, he has only to put the iron back into the fire and reshape it to fit his designs.
They're full.
Everyone, please step outside. Just for a moment, Thomas.
Once you make that first cut into the stone, it can't be undone.
I'm ready, Father. Go draw some out and serve it to the master of the banquet.
I promise you, more wine is coming.
Oh, it's about time.
The latter vintage, sir.
Not good. Let's have a taste. music! Stop the music! Everyone, listen! I have something I would like to say. I would like to address the bridegroom and the bride families. At every wedding I've ever overseen, they serve the best wine first. And then, when the people have drunk freely, much later in the feast, they serve the poorer wine, the cheap stuff. Because by then, who is going to notice? Am I right? But you have chosen now to serve the best wine I have ever tasted. Let us thank them for this unnecessary but honorable gesture. May the wedding of Asher, son of Rafi and Dinah, to Sarah, daughter of Abner and Hila, be as pure and as fruitful as this wine. Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who brings forth the fruit of the vine. To Asher and Sarah!
To Asher and Sarah!
Is something wrong?
Yes. I was.
I love the way that he captures that interaction between Jesus and his mom. But let me ask the question, what happens when Mary, when the disciples, when the servants, when all of these people at the wedding in Cana, what happens when they encounter Jesus? Jesus reveals his glory. That's what happens. And he will do the same thing when we encounter him in 2021. He will reveal his glory when we encounter him. I want to just take a few minutes to show 3 ways in which Jesus reveals his glory in this passage. They're the same ways because Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever, that he will reveal his glory to you and to me. Here's the first way he does at this wedding in Cana. He reveals his glory by revealing that he is the Son of God. He is the Son of God. This miracle demonstrates his deity. He takes water and he transforms its molecular structure into wine. This is not like kind of like what I do. I take some water, ordinary stuff, and I put some Gatorade crystals into there, and I get Gatorade tasting water. No, he doesn't just change. He changes the very substance of water into wine. Who can do that? Only God can change the molecular structure of matter. And of course, this is only one of Jesus' signs. He does it over and over again. He takes a plate lunch and he multiplies it and feeds thousands of people, and they go home with real food in their tummy, real matter in their tummy and their physical appetites, because he can create matter and he can walk on water and he can calm the storm in the sea because he has absolute power over all things. Only God can do that. Only the Son of God can do that. And so when John, who wrote this gospel and records this first sign, but he summarizes the very first verse of his book, and he says this: in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. You're looking at God. You're looking at Jesus. He's God the Son. He's the Son of God. And he says this: the Word became flesh. He took a body and made his dwelling among us. We have seen his glory. We've seen his glory, the glory of the only begotten Son of God himself. And we're reminded on communion that Jesus, God the Son, took a body. He had blood. He had flesh. He was God in human flesh. And so he revealed his glory as the Son of God. And that was John's testimony. That was also Martha's testimony. Not Martha of Kailua, but actually Martha of Bethany. And one of the signs that Jesus did, actually the seventh sign, at the later in the book, he raises Lazarus from the dead, another demonstration of his deity. Who has power to raise people from the dead? And Jesus does because he's revealing his glory as the only begotten Son of God. And so Martha says this, "Yes, Lord," she replied, "I believe that you are the Messiah. You're God's anointed king from heaven, who came a descendant of David, and the Son of God who is come into the world." Why? She had faith, and Jesus demonstrated the validity of her faith when he called Lazarus, a dead man, out of the tomb. Jesus is the Son of God. He has absolute power over all things. And when he did this first public sign, he revealed his glory. He revealed his identity as God the Son. And so the question is, have you encountered Jesus? Do you believe that Jesus is the Son of God? Has he revealed his glory to you personally? Have you put your faith in him? Because that's who he is. And when you encounter him, you will realize this is not just any human teacher. This is not just any historical event maker. This is not just any history shaper. This is God the Son in human flesh who changed history and changed eternity. And you will see the glory of Jesus, that he is God the Son. But there's a second thing in this passage I don't want us to miss, where Jesus reveals his glory. And we could summarize it this way. Jesus fulfills the law. I got to tell you, I was just amazed. I'd never seen this in this text before. But what's going on? This interaction between Jesus and his mother, you know what he's doing? He's honoring his mother. He's honoring his mother. He's saying to her, she comes with the expectation, the hope, even the request maybe that he do something. And he says, "Mom, it's not my time." He has a very precise messianic timetable. And yet what he does is he adjusts that. He changes it out of honoring his mom. And that's why one of the reasons I love this filmmaking, because it captures his honoring his mom and his mom's appreciation of what he did. But he is honoring, did you realize honoring your mother is one of God's top 10 commands? You've heard of them called the 10 Commandments. The 5th commandment, honor your mother and your father. And he is honoring his mother. That's just one little glimpse, but in his whole life, he fulfills the law. Jesus said it that way, and it's there in your notes. I've not come to abolish the law. I've come to fulfill the law. He's the only one who's lived an entire life of righteousness. He's the only one who's lived all the 10 commandments and all the law, because the 10 commandments were just at the heart of the law, but there was much more than that too. Now let me just ask you a question. Raise your hand if on every occasion for your entire life you have always honored your parents. Raise your hand. Thank you. I was just looking for someone to say, now you just broke another command. You lied. That's another one of the top 10s. Thou shalt not lie. Because we all have dishonored our parents and dishonored our moms in one way. Jesus fulfilled every aspect of the law. He's the only one in all of human history who came and lived a sinless, perfect human life. And he did everything he was supposed to do. In this case, he honored his mom. And he even adjusted his messianic timetable to honor his mom. And he fulfilled the law. And he not only did he do everything he should do, he didn't do one thing that he shouldn't have done, which none of us can say either. So here's the significance. Here's Jesus fulfilling the law for your sake and my sake, because none of us could do that. None of us could fulfill the law. You rate your life, I rate my life just against the 10 commandments. It's like 0 for 10. And certainly in terms of perfection, fulfillment, and yet Jesus did. He came in the flesh and with a body, and he fulfilled the law. And this is just a glimpse of it. And he revealed his glory because you and I could not fulfill the law. And when he went to the cross and gave his life, his body, his blood, he was offering to God the perfect sacrifice that you and I could never make, that he made on our behalf, so that we receive the righteousness of Christ by faith in him. And he gives us that righteousness as a gift that we could never make ourselves, that Jesus lived out in his life. And this is just a glimpse of it. That's a second way in which he revealed his glory. He revealed his identity as the Son of God. He's revealing that he's fulfilling the law, but don't miss this third thing too. What did he do? He creates something new, something more better, something full of life and joy. There's a picture here, but it's far, it really, I think it encompasses Jesus' entire ministry. It's a picture, it's an image of Jesus' entire ministry. He takes something ordinary, water. Now, water's a good thing. We need water. You get thirsty, drink. But he changes that to wine, to the best wine, to something full of life, full of vibrancy, full of sparkle, full of joy. He uses his power to change something ordinary into something full of life. That's what Jesus does. And he reveals his glory in what he wants to do in his entire ministry, but particularly in your life and in my life. He wants to take an ordinary life, and by his power, he wants to change it into something full of life, full of joy. Here's a great passage. You can look at it later. Let me just outline it. Ephesians chapter 2 speaks about this new creation, this better wine that he wants to create in your life. And Paul looks back and he says, this is your life before you believed Jesus, before you trusted Jesus. It's a junk pile. You were dead in your spiritual transgressions and sins. You were separated from God because of your failures. And not only that, not only were you separated from God, you were helpless to do anything about it. You couldn't help yourself. When you're spiritually dead, when you're physically dead, you can't do anything. As a pastor, it's been my honor over the years to preside at a lot of memorial services where there's a dead person in the casket. I've yet to see someone get out of the casket and go to the doctor because they can't help themselves. They're helpless, and their spirit has departed. And when we're spiritually dead, we're separated from God, and there's nothing we can do to help ourselves spiritually, let alone physically. That's before. And not only that, it gets worse. He says you were under the world, the flesh, and the devil. The world had all these influences on your life, and your own internal corruption and sin would lead you to do things that you regret. And Satan was behind all of that. He wanted to bring ruin into your life and into your marriage, into your family, into your... All of this stuff was part of the junk of your past. And by the way, it even gets worse. This is Ephesians chapter 1, verse 3. You were children of wrath. You were under God's judgment because he's righteous and he's pure and you're not. And when the light shines in the darkness, it automatically destroys the darkness. That the two cannot tolerate. Light cannot tolerate darkness. It automatically by nature destroys. And so in your sin and in your failure and in your rebellion, there's God's judgment upon your life. That's all your former condition. That's all the junk. It doesn't end in verse 3. He says, but God, who is rich in mercy, because of his grace and his love for you, what has he done? He's created a new creation in you, if you will, new wine. He has poured his new wine into your life. And he's made you alive together with Christ when you were spiritually dead. And he's raised you up with Christ just as Christ rose from the dead. And he's seated you with Christ in the heavenly realms. Now I'm looking around and you're sitting in a church in Kailua. You're not seated in heaven yet, but he's saying this is your total salvation. This is the whole picture. Your future, your destiny is to reign with Christ. You are identified with Christ as a new creation. That's beautiful new wine. That's way more better than your old life. And so that's what he does with people like us. When we believe in him, he takes something ordinary, something that's even junk, and he creates a masterpiece. He creates a new life, a new creation, new wine that's more better wine than the old life. And he does that in our personal salvation, and it's all by grace through faith. It's all by his goodness, his heart. We just believe in him, and he gives us this gift. He makes this new creation. And with that, he gives us a life of good works. He gives us something that he wants to accomplish through your life, through your marriage, through your family, through your ministry, through your relationships, through your work that will count for eternity. He's designed that beforehand. That's Ephesians 2:10. It's amazing. And he's crafted you, and he's gifted you, and he's put you in situations to accomplish that. This is all Jesus taking something and by his power transforming it into something of value and life and joy. Let's not miss that element too, because joy is a part of what wine stands for. And let me just say, you can apply this reality to everything in your life. He wants to change you into a person full of life and joy. He wants to change your marriage from something ordinary to something full of life and joy. He wants to take your parenting and fill it with life and with joy. He wants to take your work, which may be mundane and maybe even be futile, and he wants to fill it with life and joy by his presence and his power. This is what he does. This is his work. This is his glory in every area of our lives. And one final way to see it. When Jesus comes again, and as we celebrate communion, remember he said, I'm not going to drink this wine. He drank the wine at the wedding in Cana. He drank it with his disciples when he left. He said, I'm not going to sip it again until, guess what? There's going to be this huge wedding banquet in the future. And I'm the bride and you're the bridegroom, and there's going to be dancing and celebration. He's right at home with celebration. But he says this, in the new creation, it's filled with life, it's filled with joy. And family at New Hope Kailua, remember, we just finished the book of Revelation, Revelation 21 and 22. A new creation, a new heaven, a new earth, a new universe, a new Jerusalem. And the city of God, and what's in the city of God? The fullness of God's presence. And flowing out of the throne is what? The water of life. And that water of life flows to the tree of life. It's filled with life on either side. And that tree produces fruit around the year, every month, total fruitfulness, total life. And there is no temple. There's no temple. What? No temple in the New Jerusalem? No, because Jesus is the temple. Full presence, and in the fullness of his presence is joy, David says. In the fullness of God's presence is joy. It's a place of joy, life, compared to this universe, water, the new creation, fullness of wine, if we use that analogy, that image. Something full of life, something full of joy, something full of life. This is the glory of Jesus. This is what he does. He takes something ordinary, even something junk, and by his power, he creates something full of life, full of joy, full of value, full of blessing. And he reveals his glory in the process. I want to just show one last clip to leave you with this image. Again, the filmmaker's version, because I want us to realize before we celebrate communion, Jesus is absolutely at home with joy, with celebration. That's his heart. Take a look.
Fish, wine, what will be next?
Any suggestions?
Anything and everything. Let's do this. I'll go with you to the ends of the earth.
I hope so, Simon. But I seem to remember there was a problem. Something about Andrew's feet.
Andrew's feet.
But first we must evaluate, no? No, I can't. I think we have to. No, I can't. Come on!
Even I cannot do. Praise God, our destiny is one of celebration. That was the wedding at Cana, but he's coming back to a wedding celebration, and you can bet there's going to be dancing and joy, and I don't know, wine, but whatever it will be a celebration and joy and fullness of life. We're going to celebrate that in communion for a moment, but let's join our worship team as we worship Jesus. Remember all that he's done for us in the cross. Aloha, church family. Thank you so much for joining with us in worship this morning. We truly hope that you were refreshed and strengthened in your faith during these crazy pandemic days. We invite you to look at all of our messages. They're available on our YouTube channel. We'd also invite you to download our church app. It's just a great way for us to keep in touch, to communicate, also for you to receive materials. So take advantage of downloading that church app. We would invite you to partner with us as we continue serving God faithfully during these days. And you can give online, you can give on our website, or mail a check into our street address. We really appreciate your support with that. May the Lord bless you and keep you.
May the Lord turn his face upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord grant you peace. We love you. Aloha.